What it do, golf fans? Welcome back to the Turn Dogs Golf Podcast. This is Liam. Alongside me is Jack. Jack, U.S. Open at Oakmont. Took it to the golfers. JJ Spawn, what a win.
It was awesome. And I'll just tap myself on the back real quick. I said there will be one player under par this week and they will win the event. And ladies and gentlemen, there was one player under par and they ended up winning the event.
He
I
had
was
to
not
drain
ready for
he had to drain a 61 footer on 72nd hole to get under part two,
yeah,
by the way.
you know what? That was one of the greatest putts I have ever seen in my life. And like take this with a grain of salt. I'm not like the biggest JJ Spawn fan in the world.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm a fan of his after. You really take a look back and you look back at his year, runner up at the Players, lost in a playoff to Rory,
Yeah.
runner up in Sony, and you come to the US Open. He was 5 over through 7 holes, 4 over through six, something of that nature, and came all the way. You know how much mental grit you have to do, not only just to do that in a normal tournament. You could be at the what
We're at
Artisan
TP.
Classic, whatever,
Yeah,
the
we're at
dumbest thing in the
Travelers
world.
to TPC right now.
Yeah,
Prime
you
example.
come back and you grind it. Oakmont go 2 under on the back, played spectacular. Respectfully, I was rooting for Adam Scott in the final 8 holes there. Just Adam Scott's a legend. JJ Spawn, menace. Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre. Probably the funniest thing I've ever seen when he's, for anybody that didn't watch, he's signing his scorecard. He's looking up at the monitor because JJ Spawn, he's basically, what was it, two putt to tie or no,
Two putt to win, I
two
think.
putt to
Three
win,
putt. Yeah.
70 footer or whatever it was, with a 14 step meter even with the water. He's like, hey, listen, there's a 35% chance I'm going to a plap. And he's sitting there and he goes, wow. And he just starts clapping. Like, that's all you can do. Same with Terrell Hatton. Terrell
Yeah,
Hatton had a chance to
Terrell
break
Hatton
in.
with the we had the mic
Boom,
interview.
boom. He's banging his clubs everywhere. I mean, like 13 cubic meters of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania came up when Terrell Hatton finished
Oh
his
yeah.
final run on Sunday. Even he on the interview was like, wow, hard to be mad at that one. So
Yeah.
it was awesome. I love it.
Yeah, great putt on 18. I do feel a little bit bad for Sam Burns. He had that real tough lie, I think, on 15 with the water. Um,
But so did
wh-
JJ Spawn.
what's up?
So did JJ Spawn. They didn't
Well,
give him
I
anything.
know, and I have a little bit of sympathy for Burnsy, but like he wasn't the only one. I'm sure that got dealt a bad
Oh,
hand as far as holes go. So
he should have got 73 yards of relief. That's the dumbest. But at least here's my thing. Was it a terrible call? Yes.
yeah,
But it was consistent across the board. So it wasn't
yes.
like Burns got selected on a random, but he should have got, I don't know what happened there.
And then last thing we'll highlight before we get into any specific golfers, Rory and Wyndham Clark threw some temper tantrums over the weekend. Jack, I assume you know about that. Rory obviously smashed the T marker. I forget what
No,
hole it
that one
was.
to me. Okay, listen, here's the thing. I'll say two things about Rory and then I'll move on.
Okay.
Rory meant something's up with him.
Oh yeah.
Screw his golf game. Screw that guy. Since he's won the Masters, got that monkey off his back. I don't like spreading rumors. This right here, what I'm about to say, is in no way, shape, or form a reflection of truth. I think his divorce is back up on the table again
You
because
know, to
since
say
he
that it
won,
didn't cross my mind, it did cross my mind.
since
I
he
considered it.
won, he's been a nightmare. He's not obligated to talk to reporters, not obligated to talk to media. He's a top 10 golfer of all time. Just won a career grand slam. He says, like, I don't talk to you guys because you guys get me stressed. I don't care about you guys. I don't like you guys. He's just out of it. He's not motivated. It's really weird. And again, if you listen to all the great athletes, let's take Michael Jordan. That's a weird comparison. Like Michael Jordan, he got his three-peat and he goes, I am not motivated. I'm done. I do not want to play anymore. I need a new challenge. Rory McIlroy's challenge was the Masters. I think something is up on both camps, maybe a little bit. Something had to have happened personally. He's not the same person. Speculation. This is not a source of truth. Whatever it is, I like seeing Rory playing well and watching him go. I mean, he even said, "I don't care if I make the cut." At a U.S. Open. That's ridiculous. That pissed me off. But he grinded back, finished 3 under on Sunday, put himself in top 20, which was awesome. Grinded that out. Wyndham Clark, that's not as bad as what people are making out. Yeah, no, hold on. Listen, I'm a golf nerd. I am involved in every nook and cranny, every couch. I found every penny under every couch cushion that ever existed within the game of golf. It's bad. He diminished Oakmont. He tore up the locker room. Comparatively, that's peanuts. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. That's peanuts.
Oh yeah, it could have been significantly worse. I think more than anything else in my mind, it's just a bad look
Sure.
amongst everything else.
Yeah,
And
but it's a
that's
bad look because it got publicized.
well, exactly. And that's really the main key, but it's just he hadn't been playing the best golf of all time, went in there, broke a cabinet, I guess, or a
Couple
locker,
private lockers.
private locker. Yeah. So it just an interesting look in general. But good to know. Anybody else specifically you want to highlight before I get into notable guys, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was like just real quick, just running down the list. I love competitive golf and being on the stage where with 10, sorry, screw it, 18 holes to go, you had no idea who was going to win. Rahm all of a sudden, who was seven back after the rain delay or whatever, he's like, he might win. That is the craziest thing I've ever seen in golf. Regardless, like, do I think NBC would have loved for it to be Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, Roy Mac? Of course. But I think having guys, it's like, this guy could win, this guy could win, this guy could win, is even better for the sport. Now, Scotty Scheffler played really well outside of Thursday, where just his putter mishaps and whatnot. But again, that's Oakmont. Rahm did really good, under par in 2 of 4 rounds. That's ridiculous at Oakmont.
Yeah.
Um, just I feel really bad for Sam Burns, but I think there are a lot of big guys that really showcase themselves. And I'll even say just one really quickly. Not even a big guy, but Tristan Lawrence rather, from RSA. He has been on my radar for a little bit. He was obviously the DP World Tour Rookie of the Year. And if you look at his mechanics, they're horrific. It's one of the worst swing mechanics I've ever seen in my life. Um, and if you were to tell me that that guy just placed 12th in the US Open, I would do 7 backflips, which I can't do. So watching him, it's really interesting. Once he really gets himself worked in, I think has a ton more experience, he genuinely could pop off in some of these events. But I was very happy to see like Jordan Spieth's top 25. Awesome. I was very happy for him. Xander Schauffele top 15. I could go on and on because it's a major and I'm a degenerate, but just I was very happy with the week.
No, that's fair. Again, I feel like I
Oh,
remember
one more thing.
Thurston.
Sorry. And Nate Lashley didn't play, so he didn't qualify because he sucks.
True, true, fair enough. No, I feel like I remember you first bringing up Thurston Lawrence on like the Open a year or two ago because I think he
Mhm.
played in one of the Opens the last 2 years. So I recognize his name because I remember him from previous podcasts and I know a little bit
The
about
Turn
him,
Down
but
Golf podcast, where Jack brings out names you'll see in 2 to 3 years.
yeah, exactly. Um, so notable guys who missed the cut last week. There's a bit of a long list. Corey Connors is an kind of as an asterisk here.
Nope,
He withdrew on Sunday
that's
due
not a
to
miscut.
well, I know, but he didn't play all 4 rounds. He withdrew Sunday due to a wrist injury. Keep that in mind. But actual guys that missed the cut: Shane Lowry, Justin Rose, Justin Thomas, Seb Straka, Akshay Bhatia, Bryson DeChambeau, Dustin Johnson, Tommy Fleetwood, Minwoo Lee, Phil Mickelson, Cam Smith, Patrick Cantlay, Wyndham Clark, and Ludwig Aubert. Pretty good in the list of names. And then you get into some low priced options that Jack and I were all over. Chris Gotterup, who I specifically liked, and Jack kind of gave me a stink eye on, finished T23. Carlos Ortiz, who I also like, finished T4. Jack was all over Cam Young, who finished T4th. Patrick Reed, who we both liked, finished T23. Sam Burns, who we both liked, finished T7. Ben Griffin, who I liked, I think you liked as well,
Yep.
T10. Jordan Spieth, who in this instance we both liked, was T23. Usually it's just you.
And my guy
Uh,
Bez.
oh, yeah, you had Bez, who also finished, I think, T13.
Yep.
And then I also called JT and Cantlay to have really bad weeks, which I'm going to count that as a win because I feel like a lot of people liked them. Some of our misses or what's up?
No, me. I
Oh,
like
uh,
Cantlay.
yeah, yeah. Some of our misses was Bryson, Ludwig, Joaquin Neiman, and Seb Straka, who almost got. So it's funny we had better. I had personally, maybe you a different story. I had better luck this past week with my lower 3 or 4 priced options as far as DFS lineups than I did with the top names, which doesn't make any sense, but it's the way it goes.
Welcome to U.S. Open Golf.
Yeah, yeah. Welcome to the U.S. Open, I guess. All right. With that, let's get into lineups. How'd your lineups do, Jack? How'd everything work?
They were fine. Luckily, because 95% of any entry you had some form of like a Bryson, unless it was just some, you look at their lineup, you're like, why? Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I had Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele, but I had like Patrick Cantlay, Tommy Fleetwood in there. Lowry was in there for one. Corey Connors withdrew, so I lost 3/4 of or a round and a half of him, or maybe just a round. I can't remember offhand now. I took a shot on Michael Assassa, who was $5,500 less than Bryson and finished with the same score. So like all things considered, it really boasted my lineup up. 1 in 50/50s or double ups, whatever you prefer to call them, not single entry, because a shocking amount of people had Carlos Ortiz and JJ Spawn, and I couldn't wrap my head around why.
Yeah, I felt like in every tournament that I was in on FanDuel and DraftKings had either Carlos Ortiz or JJ Spawn, which made me laugh because I liked Carlos Ortiz, but I would not have immediately thrown him in all of my lineups. On my end, it was kind of meh. I had a lot of Bryson, Ludwig, and Joaquin, which all three of them missed a cut. But then I also had like Nick Taylor, Patrick Reed, and Andrew Novak, who all finished like 23rd and 42nd, respectfully. Um, Pretty middling of a week. I don't think I actually won any money on that, but that's fine. Um, it was my best DraftKings or FanDuel week, but that's I'm all right with that. On to bets. So Jack, we're gonna throw your screenshot up here again of your bets, so that way everybody can see all the green in terms of all of your wins. But any highlights? I mean, you don't have to
I'll
go
go
through
super
all of
quick.
them.
Yeah. Long story short, up 7.7 units on the week. You are welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Up 22.4 units on the year, which is my worst year still in podcast history. Biggest one or the most fun one I could bet, respectfully, Nick Dunlap. I like you. I have no issue with you, unlike Nate Lashley. I bet the entire relationship of my family on him to miss the cut at minus 340. Uh, um, I had Ryan Fox top 40, which was awesome. Bez to be the top African. He actually split with Tristan Lawrence, which was good. I had John Rahm beating Rory. I had Cam Young making the cut, which was plus 110. Shocker. Bez to make the cut, which was even money, and a bunch of other guys to make the cut. Bunch of parlays to miss the cut. I also had Rory 14th or worse. I won't go through all of them, but as long as you guys know, we raked in at 7.7 units up, which for anybody that does some egregious gambling, we did good. I will say, if you followed us on social media, I also put out some round one plays that I really like too that I'll go over. Rory McIlroy to shoot between 72 and 74 plus 200. Hit. Rory McIlroy over 71 and a half plus 115. Hit. Rory McIlroy to bogey or worse on hole one, round one, plus 165. Hit. Xander Schauffele to beat Rory in round one, plus 105. Hit. I had, where was it? Something with Jordan Spieth to get like plus 900. Oh, Jordan Spieth to par hole one plus 250, and then Jordan Spieth to birdie. My notes are spilled with coffee. One hole for plus 850 as well. So we went like 7 for 7 on round one place if you followed along.
There you go. And you'll notice on here on the screenshot, there is a Lasasso made cut that was X'd out. Jack was gonna do that bet last week, and I kind of talked him off that ledge where I was like, I don't know if Lasasso made cut is one you want to rely on, but I get it if you want to follow along. So he didn't end up saying it last week, which is why it's kind of etched out. So that is why there's no win or loss associated with it, even though he did end up missing the cut. But overall, really good week from Jack, all things considered. My week was a lot more middling. I had 7 bets initially. I ended up with only 6 that actually did anything because I had Neiman over Fleetwood and they tied at like plus 9 or whatever they shot. So that was a wash. But otherwise, I had 4 wins, 2 losses. My losses was Kepka to finish 42nd or worse, And then Jordan Spieth over Russell Henley. I think both Jordan Spieth and Russell Henley finished like top 23 or whatever it was in the tournament, which is a really crappy way to lose that bet considering they both played really well. Um, but wins were Xander Schauffele top 20 at plus 105, Xander over Colin Morikawa at minus 110, Victor Hovland over Brooks Koepka, and then Nick Taylor is the top Canadian over like Connors, Pendrith, and everybody else at plus 125. That was gonna lose until Corey Connors withdrew. So shout out to Corey Connors for. I think I already had that marked red in my in my notes because I was like, that's not hitting. And then Corey Connors withdrew, and that allowed me to hit the win. So we're gonna take it. We won't ask questions on that, but thanks, Corey. Appreciate the assist on that one. So, with that, I'm up 2.04 units on the week. That puts me up 16.75 units on the year. So, right about where I've been floating for what feels like 3 to 4 months now. But I'd rather be up 16 3/4 units than down. So, we'll take it. Jack Wildcard, how'd you do?
One almost was the highlight of my year. I'm not rooting against Rory McIlroy, but again, he's the fourth least accurate driver coming into the week. I had him missing the cut at plus 350. Clutch Cargo. I just got to give it up to that. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then Xander Schauffele finished top five at plus 425. He was right there. I think he finished 13th or something of that nature, 12th. Played really well coming down the stretch, just made some Oakmont mistakes that cost him, but over 2, I'm not mad at it.
No, that's fair. For my wild card, I took Jordan Spieth top 20 at plus 200. He finished like T23. If he makes one other birdie at any point in the entire week, he finishes like
Even a
T19
par.
or even a par instead of a bogey, or a bogey instead of a double. Then he finishes like T19 instead, and then I win money. At least on the wild card. So my wild cards now are 13 wins, 19 losses on the year. Still up money if you followed along because everyone's at least plus 200. So cool. All right. With that, how did your winners do this past week?
Good, not great. I mean, I had Xander 12, and I had Colin and Spieth, who respectively both finished 23. And then I had Cantlay, Neiman, and Lowry, who are sitting in Jamaica right now, enjoying a pina colada. But JJ Spawn 150 to 1 was not on my radar. So shout out.
No, I get it. That's how a lot of mine felt as well. My only winner that did any amount of work was Rory, who finished T19. Everybody else was sipping Mai Tais in Jamaica. Yeah, same concept. Nobody really out for me did anything else. I mean, JT, Davis Thompson, Bryson, Ludwig, and Sepp. Cause imagine that parlay of miscuts if I would have clicked that at the start of the week.
For the record, just to highlight it, like at the beginning of this, Liam was like, "Yeah, Justin Thomas, don't bet him." The first three that he said, Rory, Justin Thomas, and Davis Thompson, were his futures that we did in like October when Davis
Yes.
Thompson was on a tear, when Justin Thomas was having a resurgence, and when Rory McIlroy was playing really well. So like, take that
Yes.
with a grain of salt. He was 14 to 1 at this time. I think he went in the tournament like 7 to 1, something of that nature. So like, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I didn't go into the week thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna bet Rory, who hadn't been playing well at all since the Masters and his win, and I'm definitely taking a chance on him. Same with JT, who can't
Was
hit a
Davis
driver.
Thompson even in this event? I don't even remember
He
seeing
was
it.
in the event. He might have
Or
finished
missed the cut
worse
on the
than.
number.
Did he miscut on number? Dang. Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, he might have played worse than Jose by a stair, the guy who peed in Race Creek, but no, he definitely beat him. I think he was like 14 over. Uh, but yeah, I mean, about the same odds as what JJ Spawn probably was at that point, 175 to 1. So I just took the wrong guy at that point. Whatever, it happens. All right, we're gonna move on past the U.S. Open. Unfortunately, we got a couple weeks, and then we'll get back to the Open. So we got another 51 weeks before we get to next year's U.S. Open. We are moving to the Travelers Championship at TPC River Highlands. This is a par 70 totaling 6,800 and about 50 yards. This is a accuracy all day type of a course. Accuracy over power here at TPC River Highlands. The rest of the course is honestly kind of meh. Really, it's just again accuracy is just the only important factor. You want accurate off the tee, plus good wedge play, plus proximity. that's your perfect golfer this week. If you can find the three of those that you're looking for, that is really the key. Beyond that, it's pretty middling course. The only thing I'm curious about is normally post majors, I'm not too concerned about it, but what kind of hangovers or is anybody going to have after a grueling week at Oakmont where they more or less got their shit kicked in for 72 holes as golfers? Will that have an effect on a Sam Burns, on a Victor Hovland? Does that help a Straka or Ludwig Obert? I don't even think Ludwig's in this field. No, he is. Who am I kidding? It's an elevated event. Um, so yeah, I know, I know. Shake your head in disgust at the idea of elevated events. I agree with you.
I'm at the
Um,
both. I hate elevated events, and I don't think that plays into it truly.
I don't think so, but I do wonder if that's a like if everything else is the same, if that is an X factor, if everything else is equal. It might. So beyond that, that
Yeah,
is
those
it.
guys are getting their warm private jets, sipping their $700 a glass wine on the way to Twin Cities to go. Yeah, they're fine.
I thought River Highlands was northeast.
It could be. Honestly, I don't remember, but those guys are fine. They pocketed $700,000, got on their free private jet, landed in their luxurious hotel room with 3 different hot tubs. They're doing fine.
Don't quote me. It's either like Massachusetts or Connecticut or one of those. I think is TPC River Highlands. I want to say it's
Oh, sorry, I
northeast.
said Twin Cities. Yeah.
Yeah, you said Twin Cities. I think it's not Boston, but it's like Hartford or one of those in like Connecticut. But you get the gist. Anyways, beyond that, again, nothing too crazy about this course, all things considered. It's just a short, accuracy driven course. With that, let's get into DraftKings pricing. Top four golfers are all over 10K. One of them is very expensive. He goes by the name of Scotty Scheffler, if you've ever heard of him. And then the other three guys are Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Colin Morikawa.
Rory McIlroy is only up here for name. Let's be honest here,
Oh
ladies
yeah,
and gentlemen. Now, granted, his history here is really good, averaging 13.2 over the last like decade of playing here. There's nothing last week that Rory McIlroy did. I mean, granted, let me say this. Him grinding that out was as impressive of something that I've seen in a long time. What I mean by that was out of it. He grinded to get to 300, which was, I think, the round of the day, if I remember correctly. Just battling and battling. He might have tied for round of the day, but whatever it was, it just if you don't have the motivation and you are outwardly saying that about a United States Open Championship, a major, you're not going to Connecticut with just this dog mentality. Now we're looking for separations in terms of DFS, and do I think Rory McIlroy is going to do fine? He's going to finish top 25. That's like we're not worried about that. We were talking about 11,500 in DFS. That's your one worst case 1B guy if you're going Scotty Rory. You have a wild lineup, but
yes.
we're really looking for separators. Rory McIlroy, that 19th place finish is not really indicative of the performance he had, which I'm not dismissing because 19th is a dog finish at a U.S. Open of that style. But like, there's nothing that he did that I'm going into Twin Cities and going, I need to screw Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to Rory McIlroy. Now, I will say he's probably going to do fine this week. I definitely think he has a chance to win if he could just get out of his own head and really make those shots. If you're a golfer, you know what that means. But Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are in here. Patrick Cantlay had the worst showing of like anyone I've ever seen in my life that I thought was going to dominate outside of like a Bryson DeChambeau. But Patrick Cantlay has a really good stretch here. In the last decade, his worst finish here is 15th. His average finishing placement is 10.9. And he has 2 straight top 5 finishes in here. I said last week that like a course like that at a U.S. Open condition should be really good for him. Patrick Cantlay's not in the 10K range. So we'll
I
go
was
back
gonna
to
say, I was like, he's 9,800, but Jack
yep,
got a
hold
little
on,
excited,
hold
so we'll
on.
let him go.
Xander Schauffele, I'll go back to him. He's won this event,
Yep.
has dominated here in the past. I truly think he's the most consistent golfer, tee to green. Yes, Scotty Scheffler's world number one, but like there's spots in Xander's game that are just a little bit better than Scotty's and vice versa. We have a model of consistency here. And for 10,800, I definitely think he gives a run for his money. And then Colin Morikawa is like, we've always talked about his consistency, his accuracy from everything in between, and it really starts with the driver, and that was really good. But has only played this event 4 times and has missed the cut in 2 of them. It's a really weird kind of metric. And if you look at it, he missed the cut 23 and 20. One was COVID year, which he was going through. He was one of those people that you kind of give it out to in the COVID year. But it's a weird dynamic. But I think he's fine. I just wouldn't bet Rory.
Are you saying Morikawa's the one that's missed the cut twice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, no, Jack highlighted a lot of guys. I mean, Scotty, if he makes sense in your lineup, obviously go to him at 13-3. He's going to be just fine. He's finished 20th or better in each of his last 11 starts. During that stretch, he's basically lost with the putter twice and lost around the green 4 times. And that's basically it. He's also finished top 20 here 3 straight times at River Highlands. He's going to be fine. Again, just really expensive to get to. Rory, Jack has highlighted everything he needs to really talk about, but I don't love the price point and everything else about it. I think he's this high because of name value and the fact that he's always finished between like T7th and T20th here in all 5 of his starts. I think Xander is probably my favorite personal option here. He's gained in all strokes gained categories at the US Open. He's really beginning to kind of like turn the corner back to his original form. Obviously, he had the injury way back when, and he started coming back to it kind of slow. You know, he'd gain off the tee, and then he'd gain on approach, and then he'd gain on off tee and approach. Then he'd only gain with the putter, and now he's gaining with everything. So he's going to a course he has not finished worse than T20 in his last 4 starts here, including, as Jack highlighted, the win in 2022. Also, I looked through this stat because I was able to really dig. He is the best putter in the field at TPC River Highlands in terms of strokes gained putting. He gains the most strokes gained putting per round of any golfer in this field. So I love that as far as if this turns into a putting contest, I think Xander could be a very great choice. And then Colin, Jack highlighted, doesn't really play well. He had a T13 here last year, but his putter is a bit of a problem. He lost almost 9 strokes gained putting at Oakmont, which I understand everybody lost strokes gained putting at Oakmont because it was 14 on the stint meter. But in the retrospect of things, guys that missed the cut otherwise lost like 3.5 to 4 strokes gained putting. So it's just a lot to lose 9 strokes gained putting as far as bad putting performances go. So I don't think Collins one I'd rely on this week. So all right. Who's your top 3 here? Probably Sanders, Scotty, Colin.
Well, I think we're seeing a Scotty win by 6 week, but outside of that, I'd go Xander, then Colin, and then Rory.
All right, that's mine's the same, but I'll probably swap Xander and Scotty just based on I think Xander has a good chance this week. So
Yeah.
all right. Talk to me about how much you love Patrick Cantlay.
Well, I think he's handsome. Number. Patrick Cantlay is a dog. Like I'll just kind of go into what my spiel was 5 minutes ago, but I mean, right away, that course last week should have really fit him for U.S. Open. He just did not drive the ball well, which is something that he's done relatively well all year. I just taken it as a hiccup, and prior to that, he's been playing really well across the year. Outside of basically the PGA Championship, he was on a stretch of consistent top 40s, had a handful of top 15s, and even some top 10s. This is a course that if Oakmont didn't fit his mold, my gosh, this is his home. He can tell you, he can find the light switch at 3 a.m. and try to close it off. He's going to do fine here. I absolutely love Patrick Cantlay. I think he has a legit shot to win. Outside of that, funny enough, I think Victor Hovland might have a good shot to win. I'll go really quickly on the rest of them, then I'll get to Hovland. Ludwig Aubert, what is happening to him? Sophomore slump times a million. He has some good finishes, like RBC Canada or Canadian Memorial, Masters, things of that nature, but he just has not been anywhere stretch of close to where he was. I'm not sure if he's going through a change. It's scary for me. JT is another one who has consecutive top 10s here, but did not look like a golfer last week, struggled at the PGA. So 2 of his last 3 events, he's missed the cut. And RBC Canadian, or excuse me, the Memorial, he started with an 80. So I think something is scary there because that's a track that he also should have dominated. Sepp Straka, the same, is going from win, missed cut in a major, 3rd place, missed cut in a major. So this could be a bounce back week for him. Sam Burns has gone through heartbreak, heartbreak, and heartbreak the last 2 consecutive weeks of playing golf. He is still far and away probably the hottest golfer in the last 6 weeks, I would say. Which granted, I
The
know it's a
bald
stretch.
spot's a really attractive look. I agree. It does make him
But
the hottest. He does make him the hottest golfer of all time. The little bald spot he's got on the side of his head. I agree.
we do
Does make
not
him.
shame people. We do not shame people.
Just
No,
kidding.
he is one of the best putters in the world. And I just I hate using this. I've talked about it forever. I feel like a sports center in 2025, but like that has to wear on somebody. He's like the one guy, it's like regardless of the travel going from, US Open to like Connecticut, that guy for 2 weeks in a row has had dreams dangled in front of him, especially last week, and he lost it. Not
Yeah.
JJ Spawn won it. So like I question that. But Victor Hovland has been looking really, really good after looking like myself if I were to play on the PGA Tour. Um, Coming off just an incredible, incredible week at the US Open. Driver was good, iron was good, putter was good, and he's had success here in the past. Looking at my notes, he's 20, 29, 11 for an average finishing placement of 28 and a half with like a top 40 7 years ago or whatnot. Ball striker to the ninth degree. I think with the form he's coming in, I think he could finish top 20 here.
That's fair. No, I mean Hovland always concerns me because when you try and rely on Hovland, he turns into the worst golfer on the planet for whatever reason, especially as far as betting and DFS goes. He's just great otherwise. I will highlight a couple of guys Jack actually doesn't like. I don't hate Ludwig Gobert. He played really well actually at Oakmont on Thursday. He just played bad on Friday. If you're really plugged in, which Jack is, and he probably knows this as well because it's disgusting. According to Swedish media, which yes, we're relying on Swedish media, he was dealing with horrible migraines all week and almost withdrew Friday morning. How much can we trust that information? We don't know. Did that potentially have an effect on why he missed the cut? Maybe. Um, this is an interesting spot for him. I don't love it, but I just keep a close eye on Ludwig this week. He's probably fine. He's probably making the cut, and he's probably going to do pretty well.
Well, it's
But just
signature event, so
it's signature event. That's right. Shoot. But he'll probably do well anyways. Probably still finish like T20. Seb Straka, I'm very comfortable going back to him this week. Obviously, he missed the cut last week, but outside of losing 3 strokes with the putter, he actually gained across the rest of the bag. It was about as good of a missed cut as you can probably have on PGA Tour. He's also finished top 40 here in 3 of the past 4 years. I think he is a prime candidate for a bounce back. He doesn't miss the cut and then finish like T70 very often. So I'm comfortable going back to Seb. And then JT, Justin Thomas. I know he played like hot garbage last week at Oakmont, but that course really doesn't fit Justin Thomas's game at all. River Highlands is very close to like an RBC Heritage, where he won that event because he didn't have to take driver out of the bag. So if he doesn't have to do that this week, with it being just 6,800 yards, I'm not telling you to go to him because I understand how bad he's been playing. But this is an event where he can definitely, contend, especially if his caddy just randomly snaps his driver, and then that way, oh darn, he has to hit 3 wood or hybrid and finish T5. I think that could very well be in the cards for JT this week if he just keeps the driver in the bag. So, all right, with that, into the 8K range we go. Tommy Fleetwood at 8,900 down to Ben Griffin at 8,100.
yeah. I'll say just a couple things really quick in the negative, and then I'll get to the positive. One, I would steer clear of JJ Spawn. Right now, he is going to be the target of every casual golf fan in the world if you're gambling, and rightfully so. And if you really look at his stretch and $8,600 for a guy that just won a U.S. Open and finished top 10 at Charles Schwab, it looks good. Right now, he is so hungover, probably puking in his daughter's diapers. Has missed the cut here in 3 of his last 4 tries. His average finishing placement when he's got one top 30 finish. It was 30 and 247th places. Like this is not his bread and butter. And if you really take a look at the stats here, the only measurement where he's gained over a quarter shot is on ball striking. That's a quarter of a shot in what, 7 starts, something like 6 starts. It's a weird metric. So I would steer clear of him. Normally, I'm all over Corey Connors. Like this is a really good course structure for him.
Yeah.
He withdrew from a US Open where he was set to make like $600,000. You do that if you're making 45. If it's like, oh, I tweaked it on the TV cord. Oh my gosh. He was in the tournament, wasn't out of it, and it was like that to me is, oh, I just really hurt myself.
Yeah.
You don't withdraw from a USO. If you're in it, if you're like Dwangulami or whatever his name was, and he shot 89 on Friday, he toughed it out. He gained a lot of respect from me. But like he could have easily gone, oh, my wrist. Corey Connors was in it. That's very scary to me. Really quick on the good though, Ben freaking Griffin. Ben Griffin, dog, love him. I'm biased, so I can't say why. But his last four events, he said consecutive top tens, including a win. Guy is a ball striker from tee to green. He's just so consistent. I honestly kind of attribute it to like a very, very layman's Patrick Cantlay with social media. Just very tee to green oriented, really solid anywhere, no real error.
Bear in mind, you used to hate that he posted on social media, but now he is a way better golfer than before. Back when he
No,
was like,
let me phrase it. I liked seeing his insights. I did not like seeing his like, I don't need to know you're going to target. Like just weird. It was weird to
oh,
me.
oh,
But
God, all right, well,
couple guys I do like in this range. I think number one is fairway Jesus Tommy Fleetwood.
yeah.
Tommy Fleetwood is a ball striker in paradise. He is one of those golfers that is so due for a victory. And if there's an event that I think he could really do it, it's going to be really soft for him, which means he's able to pinpoint. 15th there last year, so he should be fine. I love Keegan Bradley this week. He has had kind of a rough stretch in 2021, but outside of that, 31 win, 19 runner up. He's done really good. I think he's kind of not only solidifying himself as the Ryder Cup captain, now you got to consider him for a captain's pick. Kind of what Tiger did. I hate even saying that because I think there's more exciting golfers, but he's been playing. I love Jordan Spieth. Got this should be a good course for him to target. If the putter does what he needs to, I think he could be fine there. Hideki Matsuyama, as Liam says, if he makes it to the first tee Thursday, that guy's a ball striker paradise. But I love Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre this week. This guy has had just a weird stretch of golf, but two top tens in his last four starts. 16th here in his lone start here. That guy looked like a ball striking machine. And if he's able to do that in some crazy, crazy scenarios, coming to a slow, sandy field like Connecticut should be good for him.
So don't laugh at me, but tell me why I kind of like this range more than the 9K range. I just think there's better opportunities in this range personally. Let's start off with fairway Jesus Tommy Fleetwood. He's going to be a great option this week. He missed his first cut since the Open Championship last fall. Last time he missed back-to-back cuts was 15 months ago. So he's not obviously he can't miss a cut this week, but there's nobody I like better who's going to bounce back and finish T15 or better this week than Tommy Fleetwood. You mentioned Keegan Bradley. He lost 4.5 strokes on approach at Oakmont, which is one of his top 5 worst approach weeks of his career. There's a high likelihood he's going to have a bounce back week. He's also coming to River Highlands, which is based in Connecticut. Keegan's a Boston boy through and through. He always shows out for this course, so he's going to be fully engaged. As Jack highlighted, he's also got to prep for his Ryder Cup team, makes him equally engaged. He's also played really well here. He won here in 2023. He's got 3 other top 20 finishes here in 8 starts. I think nobody is going to try harder at this event than Keegan Bradley. I will also mention Russell Henley. This is a great course for Russell Henley. He's in prime form considering he finished top 10 last week at the US Open. Did you see any of Russell Henley's shots last week, considering he finished top 10? I think I saw maybe 2.
I saw more of James Nicklaus. I love James Nicklaus, so shout out to you. You're a social media dog. I've been following you forever. Shout out.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But no, yeah, I didn't see any Russell Henley, which is hilarious. But he's played this event a ton. He's got 5 top 30 finishes in his last 7 starts here at River Highlands. He's a ball striking guy. If he finds the planet off the tee, he's gonna, I don't know, ball strike this thing to death as far as approach plays go. This is probably not a Jordan Spieth preferred spot for me. I know his game has been great, but he hasn't finished top 40 or better here since 2016. And Jack can highlight as well as anybody else his 2015, 2016, streak. So I'm okay getting back to him, but wait until like next week for me.
I just think
I'll
I agree with you, like statistics wise, like there is caution there, but like
yeah.
number one, he's playing 4 rounds, barring a withdrawal. The mold is there. I'm not saying
Yeah.
like stats wise, but like he's been targeting, which is a lot better than what he was doing.
No, I think he'll be fine this week. I just don't know if he's got the upside at this event to fully contend based on everything else. And I think that enough of the other golfers in this range are going to be able to contend for wins. I'll mention it. I love Ben Griffin. Statistically, based on the last 36 rounds, he is second behind Scotty Scheffler in strokes gained total per round. That beats Rory, that beats Colin, that beats Cantlay, that beats everybody. In his last, bear in mind, this is cherry picked in his last 36 rounds. He's also gained in all statistical strokes gained metrics for 4 straight starts. 2 of those were majors. One was a signature event. Oh, and the fourth one, he just casually won that event. So this is good. It's just about basically any other golfer currently playing in the world. If we saw this stat profile on Morikawa, we would be betting him through the moon. It's just because it comes from Ben Griffin that he doesn't have all the hype in the world. But I am all over Ben Griffin this week. I think he's a great option. So, all right. With that, let's get into the 7K range. We have Sung J M at 7,900 down to Ryan Fox at 7,000.
Stop disrespecting Ryan Fox. I don't understand it. This guy's proven he just went out there on a last second whim. He's got 2 wins in his last 5 starts, top 20 at the US Open. This guy is a ball striker's ball striker. This guy has been distance wise awesome, accuracy wise awesome, has putted relatively well outside of the playoff, much like Sam Burns, usually like the number one putter in the world, and he wasn't converting at the end. Ryan Fox is a dog, and you're still putting him at 7K. What is happening? That's all I'll say about him. Outside of that, you have where do you go? Cam Young in here. We are getting on a track where you kind of got to jump the wagon before his price goes to 8,800. And it's 7,800 grand, elevated event. He's not missing the cut, but like 4-4 in his last 2 events, another top 10 a couple weeks ago. This guy has been really good. You're talking about a ball striker's paradise for him. He finished top 10 here at this event last year. If he's building on momentum and finally getting that confidence back, which must have been left in Oklahoma at some random event, he's getting it back. He finds his way in his pocket. That fairy dust is here. I think this could be a really good week for Cam Young. And I don't think he's going to win. It's a preface here, but I think a top 40 is in the cards for Ricky Fowler this week. Ricky Fowler has really slowed down his game. He stopped chasing this, that, and the other thing. I'm trying to find my notes on him really quickly, but he has done fine at this event, if I remember correctly. I don't know why I can't find him. Here he is. 20 and 13 the last 2 years, missed the cut 2 years previously. Big one was strokes gained ball striking, which was a really weird stat to me because he's a true ball striker. But ever since he made that swing change, I think he's really primed to have a good showing this week. Not necessarily a win, but he's a ball striker. So I think he's going to be really good.
That's fair. I like Cam Young as well. Honestly, my notes basically said more or less the exact same that you did about how he's been top 4 his last 2 starts and he's been playing out of his mind. There's 2 other names that I think are interesting. I don't love a ton of names in this range. I think JT Poston could be interesting. He's got the kind of profile for her. He never does good on long courses because he doesn't have the distance, but he's got plenty of accuracy off the tee. He's a very streaky putter. He just had a good putting performance in his last start. So knowing him, he's got 2 or 3 good weeks of decent putting, and then he's going to go back to not being able to putt again. So I think JT Poston's a solid option. There's also the interesting idea of going to like a Tom Kim. He made more birdies last week than just about any other golfer. He finished T33 at Oakmont, which is not a course you really think that it's going to be a Tom Kim fit. He's going to a short course. He finished second here last year. He's got the accuracy to contend here. This is more of like an eye test thing where it's like his game fits this course well as opposed to anything else with Tom Kim. So I don't have a lot of other thoughts in the 7K range. I don't love this range. I feel like it's a lot of guys that are a few things I like about and a few things I dislike, and you just kind of got to pick the one that makes sense. With that, 6K range we go. This is a fall for grace for me. Matt Fitzpatrick at 6,900 just seems really low, but like I get it. All the way down to Jack's favorite golfer on tour, Nick Dunlap.
He is my favorite golfer right now. I will say Matt Fitzpatrick is not someone you should discount this week.
Yeah.
Yes, he's 6,900. He's a fall from grace, but his last starts have been 40, 38, 23, 8, 31, and 38 respectfully. You're talking about a no-cut event where it's like literally just get it on the fairway and get it on the green. I think he'll do fine. I have no issue with that. I think another guy that does that really well is Christian Bezuidenhout or Bezuidenhout, depending on what part of the world you're in. I've talked about him for 39 consecutive weeks, so I won't say that. But the two guys that I've seen all over the world and people to bet is Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor has missed the cut here in 3 of 6 or the last 6 tries. His best finish is 42. He has not done well here. I think he's a little bit better of a golfer in terms of like mental awareness and what he's done since then. And I think there's a chance that he could finish top 40 maybe, but I don't love that number one. And if you bet Nick Dunlap, I'm gonna drive to your home and have a stern talking with you over some coffee on a Sunday morning. Why?
Oh, that's funny.
He could be $1,000, and I still don't think I'd bet him in a no-cut event.
Yeah. No, I get it. So, you were going through Matt Fitzpatrick's finishes, and I think that T8 was at RBC as well, right? If my memory serves right. You don't have to look it up. I think it's just
Should be.
I think that T8 was there. I mean, he fits a lot of the same metrics we talk about JT. If the driver doesn't have to come out of the bag, it's going to be a
PGA.
Was that PGA finished T8? Oh, dang. Okay. Well, I know he played good at RBC Heritage as well, and he's won there as well. So I think this is an interesting course that you could get to a Matt Fitzpatrick at 6,900 based on basically fit, similar to how like Tom Kim could be fit. I'll mention a couple names. I mean, Bud Cauley, he missed the cut at the U.S. Open, but if you look at his last 36 rounds, he's a top 30 golfer in this field currently. He's got great irons and a solid putter. His driver's a bit wayward, which obviously is a concern, but he's only 6,800. So obviously the accuracy is going to be a little bit of a challenge with him, but keep that in mind. There's also Tom Hoge, who's gotten some pretty brutal breaks. He's gained in strokes gained total in each of his last 4 starts, but he's only made the cut at one of those. That's extremely difficult to do. Usually, if you're gaining strokes gained total to the field, means you're better than half the golfers. At that point, you should be making lots of cuts. But I like it for an event like this, where he's going to get some good course correlation, and his accuracy should be great here as far as an event like this. Last guy, or second to last guy, Ryan Gerard. He's continuing to play great golf. The only missed cut he had recently is the CJ Cup at Craig Ranch. His putter had hurt him, where he's lost strokes gained putting in 5 of the last 6 starts, but he still has 4 top 40 finishes in his last 8 starts, regardless of the bad putter. So I think Gerard could be a sneaky play. And then a guy that didn't play last week, but I do like Alex Noren at 6,500, still has a really good play. He's got really good irons. He's still just kind of coming back off of injury, but he's already made a few cuts, and he's in pretty decent form for a guy that's probably not fully warmed up yet. So. Cool. With that, Jack, how many bets we got this week? Or actually, no, just kidding. DraftKings lineup. I was testing you. It's weird. There's no FanDuel this week, everyone. So, unfortunately, we only have DraftKings lineups. But use your best judgment to kind of carry over some of the names and the DraftKings lineups onto FanDuel if that comes out Tuesday, Wednesday, or whenever.
This came out literally right now, so
awesome.
We might be doing an on the fly thing. If not, no big deal. But my DraftKings lineup. Patrick Cantlay, 9,800. Keegan Bradley, 8,500. Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre, 8,400. Ben Griffin, 8,100. Cam Young, 7,800. And Ryan Fox, 7K.
There we go. For my DraftKings lineup, I really like this lineup, meaning probably none of them are going to, or all of them are going to somehow miss a cut in a no-cut event. I have Xander Schauffele at 10,800, Russell Henley at 8,800, Keegan Bradley at 8,500, Ben Griffin at 8,100, JT Poston at 7,300, and Alex Noren at 6,500. Jack and I are obviously, you can see this, we are working through our system right now where we're figuring all this out because we now need to go make lineups. How about this, Jack? Let's do bets, everything else, and then we'll go through and we will just throw our lineups in at the end once we have a minute to kind of look through.
All right, yeah, my bets, I have 7 this week. One of them is wild. So for anybody that's like, stop betting basic, I see your emails. I just won you, Sep, whatever, you losers. Anyway, number one is Scotty top 5 at minus 130. Scotty Scheffler is far and away the number 1 player in the world, and he grinded through with a really good week. You're talking about tee to green, strokes gained, Scotty Scheffler. Patrick Cantlay top 20 is even money at plus 100, minus 100, whatever you want to do with that. This is a bread and butter course for him. He's dominated here over the course of his career. Outside of a bad showing last week, he's been on top of it. I also have Xander Schauffele top 20 is minus 153. Honestly, I still think he's the most consistent player tee to green. He just has no holes in his game. He should be able to do that. I have Ben Griffin top 30 at minus 145, as Liam mentioned in his last 36 rounds. Literally number 2 to Scotty Scheffler in terms of strokes gained. He's a dog. Robert McIntyre top 30 at minus 163. Ball striker paradise. As long as he can get on the green, I envision he's able to beat half the field, which includes Nick Dunlap. I have the wild one, which is Scotty Scheffler to be bogey free in round 1. Scotty Scheffler's round 1s have been unreal. He's got a minus 10, a minus 4, a minus 7, a bunch of minus 3s, a minus 5. Scotty Scheffler is crazy. And I think going after 4 weeks of Oakmont, where his bogey points comparatively to the field was still good, you're telling me that this guy can't go out at almost 5 to 1 and really hammer that? That's honestly great odds, and I'm willing to take that. But the craziest bet, and it may not sound awesome at plus 120, this might be the craziest bet ever. And I'll tell you why. It's Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Gobert, Xander Schauffele, or Colin Morikawa to win. I will spoil it. Scotty Scheffler closed on the market, or at the time of recording, on average, at about plus 275 to win. So you're giving away 155 odds points, if you know what that means. Basically, like 275 to 120 for 4 extra guys, including Scotty, to win. Mind blowing.
It's kind of disgusting. That one shocked me when I saw that. I was like, oh wow, okay. And you also wrote Morikawa way, which I thought was funny, but that's why it also stood out to me.
For anybody that doesn't know how I got that, it's called 5 versus the field or big dogs versus the field, depending on what book you look at. So you'll just have to try and find that for yourself.
Fair enough. And then you mentioned Scotty bogey free.
Yep.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah, so Jack's got some fun bets there. You guys got your plus 450, so go have fun with that one. Just know, Jack, it's not just your emails. I also get comments on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts of people being like, why does he only bet safe bets?
Well,
so like it's
follow our
everywhere.
wild cards then. I don't care. I'm winning money.
Yeah. For my bets, I have 5 this week. I like all of them, which again, we'll see what that means. First one is Ben Griffin, top 20 at plus 145. I have Keegan Bradley over Jordan Spieth at minus 120. I have Ben Griffin over Harris English at minus 110. I have Russell Henley over Hideki Matsuyama at minus 110. And I have Xander Schauffele over Colin Morikawa at plus 105. So overall, just the 5 bets, but I feel pretty good about all of them. So we'll see how they all end up this week.
Yeah, I have my FanDuel done if you do.
I have mine as well. Yeah, let's
All
do
right.
it.
Mine, I did Scotty Scheffler at 13,600, which is outrageous. I did Patrick Cantlay at 11,400. I did Ben Griffin at 9,700. Matt Fitzpatrick at 8,600. Ricky Fowler at 8,400. And Foxy at 8,300.
Okay. Right now I have Xander Schauffele at 11,800. Right now I have Seb Straka, but I'm tempted to bump him all the way down to Ben Griffin so I can get somebody better. And then I have Keegan Bradley at 10.7, Russell Henley at 10.6. Right now I have Bud Cauley at 8,200, who's the one I would bump up if I took Ben Griffin instead of Straka. And then Noren at 7,800. So be advised, I might change out Seb Straka for Ben Griffin, and if I do that, I'll probably end up with like Matsuyama or McNeely or one of those guys in the low nines. So probably Hideki. That feels like a safe bet. So that is the FanDuel lineups. Sorry, we kind of did that on the fly. Unfortunately, FanDuel did not really give us any room to plan that. Wild cards, what do you got this week?
Yeah, wild cards. I got three, and all three of them are lower in odds than my Scotty Scheffler bet. But I think a couple of them actually like are really good. If you really hear them, I think for those of you lamos that are commenting, Cam Young top 10 is plus 400. If you really take a look at Cam Young over the stretch, he's a ball striker, and he's done really well. He's got two fourth place finishes in his last two events over completely different conditions. So I think that's a really good one. I have Ben Griffin, also top 10 at plus 400. I'm sure those odds will change either up and down depending on the market, but as of now, I bet this at like 10:30 in the morning on Monday. He's got four consecutive top tens, and his worst one has been 10 at the US Open in his last four rounds. Guy's a menace. And then I have Scotty Scheffler to be in the final pairing or final group on Sunday if they do two or three sums at plus 200. I think Scotty Scheffler can pull away and win by six. That's definitely in the realm of possibilities this week. And if you're giving me not 1-2, but 2-1 odds that the greatest player in the world by 600 yards is in the final pairing of an event that he should crush, I'm taking that.
No, that's fair. I do think the Scotty one's going to be an interesting one as far as your wild card goes. Mine's going to be kind of boring. Again, Justin Thomas does really well on short courses when he doesn't pull driver out. So I have him being top 10 at plus 260 this week, and that is my lone wild card. On to winners. Jack, I see a very interesting name at the top.
Yeah, I'm sorry about this. This is the first time I've done it all year. It's Scotty Scheffler. He's plus 325 on Bet ESPN for anybody that's saying, oh, you just said he's plus 275 or whatever. 325 on Bet ESPN. I'd recommend getting that before it drops to like plus 240 because the world's going to be on it. I also have Victor Hovland at 33-1, which I thought was an interesting one, especially with the odds. He's a great ball striker. And Bobby McIntyre, Robert Mack, at 46-1 accordingly. So
Fair enough. For mine, I have my three, but they're all without Scotty. So be advised, they're all without Scotty Scheffler. I have Russell Henley at 25-1. I have Ben Griffin at 35-1. And I took a flyer on Tom Hoge at 60-1, just based on the fact that he's a really good iron player. Admittedly, I'm less stoked on that one, but I don't love a lot of the golfers further down, and I think they're all going to get crushed by Scotty anyways. So just taking a chance on somebody with some really good irons. So sweet. All right, that is the Travelers Championship. With that, next week is the Rocket Mortgage. I will be here next week, probably from my hotel room, knowing my luck. So be advised if the podcast comes out late. I will be on the West Coast, so for me, it will still be pretty early. But I will try my best to get the podcast out as soon as I can next week. But with that, we'll leave you to it. Happy betting, safe betting. Let's go out there and let's win some money. Deuces.